What is up, guys? In today's video, I'm going to be going over which shotgun I think is best for zero build in Fortnite Chapter 5 Season 4. As always, if you guys do enjoy this video, remember to give it a like, subscribe if you like to see more, and comment down below which shotgun is your favorite so far in Season 4. So, in Season 4, the shotguns we have are the new Sovereign shotgun, and then the Hammer Pump and Gatekeeper shotgun returned from previous seasons. In this video, I'm not going to talk about the Hammer Pump because the Gatekeeper has already been better than the Hammer Pump for the past 2 seasons. So if the hammer pump didn't get nerfed and the gatekeeper, if the hammer pump didn't get buffed and the gatekeeper didn't get nerfed, which didn't happen, then the gatekeeper would still just be better, you know? So I think the hammer pump is just already out of the race. But before we get into which one I think is best, I'm going to talk about what the Sovereign shotgun does. So this is an interesting weapon, and I've seen a lot of misinformation about how this works. With the Sovereign shotgun, you get a faster fire rate if you hip fire, but when you aim in, you get added accuracy, and the trade-off for this is that you have a slower fire rate if you shoot while aimed in. And I see a lot of people saying you get extra damage if you aim in. That is not the case. It's just an accuracy buff. The damage remains the same. I'll have a clip on screen here where I hip fire a shot, hit for 96, check the stats of the weapon. It says it does 96 damage. And then I do an ADS shot that also hits for 96. So the damage does not change, but your damage potential often will change because the way shotguns work in Fortnite is you get damage based on how many pellets you hit. And when you aim in and your spread is tighter, you're probably going to be able to hit more pellets, thus dealing more damage than you will when hip firing with the large reticle. So the actual damage doesn't change, but oftentimes you will hit harder when aimed in just because you're hitting more pellets. And I feel like that has just been confusing for a lot of people, or just people getting misled with just false information. And it shoots slower if you aim in at all while the shot is fired. I've had people ask, like, what happens if you aim in and then unaim in? Does it just start shooting fast automatically? It's just, if you shoot while aimed in, you have to wait a certain amount of time to be able to fire another shot. And if you hip fire, that time is lower. And this weapon is essentially fully automatic in that you can just hold the shoot button and it's going to shoot at like the fastest rate it can shoot. And you can test this, just aim in a little bit, shoot, keep the button held the entire time, and you'll see there's much longer time than when you just hip fire it. So like tapping ADS for like a quick ADS shot does work, but it doesn't completely negate the downside of aiming in. You still will get a slower fire rate. And initially I thought the Gatekeeper had more damage than this shotgun, but it turns out the Sovereign shotgun actually has slightly more damage than the Gatekeeper. However, since the hipfire reticle of the Sovereign is so large, you often aren't going to be hitting as hard with the Sovereign shotgun as you are with the Gatekeeper in kind of like, 2 to 3 meter fights hip firing with a shotgun. Like the Gatekeeper does have a tighter spread by default. So most of the time when I was shooting a Gatekeeper, I would be hitting harder than when I was shooting the Sovereign. It's not that it can't hit hard when hip firing, but it's just a rare occurrence. The time where the Sovereign is going to actually be reaching its max damage is oftentimes when you're aiming in, or if you're just completely barrel stuffing the opponent. That way you hit all of pellets. But just by statistics, the Sovereign has a higher base damage, but I feel like in practice and a lot of shotgun fights, I would be hitting harder with the Gatekeeper. And then because of that, I think the Gatekeeper is a better shotgun. I'm often going to be hitting harder with it when hip firing, which is what I'm going to be doing most of the time with a shotgun. And then it also has a higher fire rate at 1.7 versus the Sovereign's fast fire rate of 1.4. So even when ADSing with the Gatekeeper, it shoots faster than the Sovereign's fast fire rate, right? So I think the Gatekeeper is just, on paper, a better shotgun. But for how fights play out in Season 4, I think I've been liking the Sovereign a lot more. Partially because of its added magazine capacity. It has 6 bullets where the Gatekeeper has 3 or 5 if you get extended mag. And the Sovereign can reload 1 shell at a time, which isn't great if you need to reload it from 0 to max, but it helps you stay topped off in a fight, whereas with the Gatekeeper, this can be rough to do. And then the range, I feel like on the Sovereign shotgun is a lot better, especially when you're aiming in. And I feel like this added range and added magazine capacity or bullet capacity works a lot better because a lot of fights in this season play out around the jetpack, and when you're jetpacking around, I feel like I'm going to be missing more shots, so I kind of value that ammo capacity more. And then I also value that range a lot more than I typically would, because while the jetpack dash is really nice, sometimes I go further than I expect with the dash, and then that kind of makes it awkward to use a shotgun at that range, or it makes it awkward to use a Gatekeeper at that range. And if you end up wasting a shot or two at a not ideal range, that's even less shots that you're going to have in the future with a shotgun that already has poor magazine capacity. So I feel like if I do end up in a situation where I jetpack dash further than I want with the Sovereign, I can just aim in, get a hard hitting shot, and then maybe dash onto the person and then go for those hip fire shots. I think utilizing the ADS to get tighter pellet spread and more range really helps out in those situations. And so, yeah, it's kind of awkward that, like I said, I think the Gatekeeper is a better shotgun, but with how fights play out in Season 4 and how much repositioning there is with the jetpack and how much your opponent can reposition as well, I think the Sovereign shotgun just plays better for me so far this season. But it's not like the Gatekeeper is bad by any means. I've won games with both shotguns. But as I've gotten more used to the jetpack movement and gotten better at utilizing it and resetting fights, I feel like I'm starting to lean more and more towards the Sovereign. The one key skill or like kind of important decision to make with the Sovereign shotgun is when do you aim in versus when do you hip fire. And I think the main times you want to aim in, I'll have some clips on screen playing now. This is from the first day the season dropped. But if you're able to get behind cover or reposition in a fight in a time when the opponent is pushing into you, that's a time where ADSing is really good. And then hopefully you can hit a hard ADS shot, maybe back up a little bit more, and go to the hip fire once they actually push into you. So whenever you can play off of cover, being able to aim in and hit like a hard shot with the Sovereign is really nice. If you need extra range, kind of like the situations I outlined earlier with the jetpack dash, that's a time where aiming in would be really good with the Sovereign shotgun. Or if the opponent just doesn't know where you are yet for some reason, like maybe they're focusing on your teammates, you went for a flank, or like you got lost by them in a fight, and now they don't know where you are as much, or the fight hasn't started. If the opponent isn't like immediately ready to return fire, then aiming in with the shotgun could be really nice to get a nice solid shot to open it. But the times you don't want to be aiming in with the Sovereign are those really chaotic, scuffed, close range fights, because in those situations, the higher fire rate is going to be much appreciated. And hopefully that the accuracy penalty isn't as large when you're up close to the opponent, obviously. So if you are kind of like jetpacking right above somebody shooting down, or like basically barrel stuffing into them with the jetpack, times like that you want to hip fire, or just, you know, a chaotic close range fight, that added fire rate is probably going to be the difference maker. So you don't want to aim in those situations, but in the slower, more controlled situations, when the opponent is pushing into you and you're playing off of cover, or if you're playing off of shield bubbles. I've been using bubbles a lot this season, especially versus like the War Machine Arsenal rockets. And if you can kind of peek from your bubble and hit a nice ADS shot on them, and then maybe dash onto them with the jetpack after that, I feel like it makes that situation a lot easier to play. So that is going to be it for this video. I think with how this season plays out, how much mobility there is, how much potential there is for you to reset fights, I think the Sovereign shotgun plays better than the Gatekeeper, but the Gatekeeper is still an incredible weapon. And if I had to choose between like a green Sovereign shotgun or a gold Gatekeeper, I'm probably going to go with the gold Gatekeeper. It's not like the Sovereign is just head and shoulders above the Gatekeeper. So rarity may be something that I consider more this season than some previous seasons. But let me know down in the comments below which shotgun you prefer in Season 4. And if you guys did find this video helpful, informative, interesting, remember to give it a like, subscribe if you would like to see more, and I will see you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching.